Very good morning to everyone. This is Dr. Jyoti Basu. Now we are going to learn the topic on the subject English methodology, methods of teaching English. So in this we are going to look into the aspects like history of English language, nature of English language and importance of English language. Next slide. First we are looking into the definition of language. Language is a system of communication that reflects the social requirement of the society. So as we know the importance of language, without language the human being cannot convey any message to anyone. So only the human being having the flexibility to communicate with others with only the language. Just we are looking into so many living organisms in the world. Only human beings having especially the language, even though the animals having their communication with the gestures. But here we are taking help of language so that we can convey our emotions, feelings, expression in the form of language. So the language is a very effective and which is very important for us to communicate with others. Language is a system of arbitrary vocal symbols used for the communication. So to express our views, emotions, feelings to others or the other persons, we are taking help of so many expressions, or sometimes we are looking into so many symbols. Just you want to express your happiness by showing the facial expressions like happy face, so that it is indicating, that gesture is indicating them you are going to share something which is happiness. So this is only through the symbol. Sometimes we are going to question ourselves by sometimes we are showing our expressions in the form of facial expressions. Once you had shown a facial expression, if you have any doubt, immediately the other person is going to receive, just you are having some doubt. So these are only the possibilities are available with the human beings to communicate with others. Next slide. So as we know, the father of language, Chomsky, Noam Chomsky, so he defined that the children are biologically programmed for language learning and that language develops in the child in the same way as other biological function develops. So language is nothing but, especially we are not making the child to learn the mother tongue. So as usual, how the biological factors were happened in the child life, as usual the language is going to be learned by them, that is called as the mother tongue. Language is a communication, it is a medium of expressing ideas and concepts as well as feelings and attitudes. So here as we are looking into the so many areas, just looking into the textbooks or science and technology part, whatever it may be, just this is only through the expression or communicating with others in the form of language. So the language is very important aspects for the human beings. Next slide. In this nature of language, so it is a unique characteristic of human being and is created by man himself. So you want to express your idea with others, you want to send any message to the sender. So here there is a two persons, one is receiver and the other one is sender. If the sender want to communicate anything with the others, that is a receiver, they should be in a position to understand what exactly you want to say. So this is possible only through the proper communication. To communicate with others we need language. So language may be what type of language, whether it may be mother tongue or the English language or any other regional languages. So language is a system of vocal sounds coupled with gestures, signs that are shared by a nation. So here you are expressing your language to others or the receiver, that will be in the form of words. So the words should be properly communicated to the receiver, from receiver to sender. So here to help the communication or to make effective communication, here you are depending or using some gestures to receive the information by the receiver. For that you are making different gestures, signs and symbols. Language is not only the totality of 4 basic skills and also the inner competencies required for the performance of them. So here the language you are expressing to others by taking help of 4 basic skills. Those are called as the language skills or the basic skills of language. So, the basic 4 skills are listening, speaking, reading and writing. In the short form we are calling it as LS or W. So, once the sender is giving any message to the receiver should be in a position to listen in a proper way. Then only what the sender exactly is saying the message, that will be speak out in a proper way. Once you are perfect with this listening and speaking, then you are going to have interest to read. After that we are focusing on the writing part. So, the total language is dependent on 4 basic skills, those are L, S or W, that is listening, speaking, reading and writing. So, these are very essential for the human being to express their ideas, which is in the form of language or which we are taking help to communicate with others. So, language is basically for communicative purpose. It is used to transmit information to maintain relation. Here exactly why we are communicating with others. So, to maintain good relation. If you are not at all using in a proper way, the relation may not be effective one. So, the language is placing a crucial role in not only sharing ideas, it is helping us to maintain good relation or good rapport with the others. So, that by looking into the so many areas, the language is taking crucial role to communicate with others. The language skills acquired only by using and practicing continuously. So, here to get perfection with the language, to express in a proper way, to communicate in a proper way, here we required the thing is only the practice. So, the practice is the major skill making you confident and thorough with the subject, so that you can express with others in a proper way. The practicing is very important one. Whatever the language, just we are looking into the regional language or mother tongue or national language or the international language or any other regional languages, that will be effective to communicate in a proper way means just only through practice. So, in this to communicate with others, here we have to follow certain structures of language. So, the language is structured and highly organized system. So, whatever you want to speak, just it should be in a form of systematic. So, by combining all these words, you are going to make a successful sentence. So, that sentence making the receiver to understand what exactly the sender is going to say the message or they want to convey the message. So, English language is ruled, governed and operate within the different subsystem. So, here now we are looking into the importance of language, just we are thinking about all the languages. So, whatever the language may be, these all only for the communication purpose. As we know the importance of, now we are talking about the importance of English language. So, just we are looking into so many areas, every area is dependent on more than 80% depending on the English. Once you are a good communicator to communicate in English, so that it is going to be helpful a lot, not only in the regional as well as coming to the international level. So, like the English is called as the global language. Once you are perfect communicator to others in a English, so that you are going to have so many benefits and it is going to be useful in all the ways. So, here we are using different sounds or we are following different structures of language. In this, the first one is talking about the system of sounds, how you are pronouncing the word. That form is called as phonology. How exactly you are pronouncing the word, those are called as the sounds. So, the phonetics, the pronunciation should be very clear. Then only the receiver receives or they understand in a proper way. Next one is the structure of word. So, with the word structure of word only we are going to frame the sentences. So, the sentences based on what type of words you are using. So, this system is called morphology. Next one, the system of structure. Then only you are going to have the effective paragraphs or effective communicator. That is called as that structure is called as syntax. Next one, the system of meaning. This is known as semantics. So, exactly what you are saying, that should be meaningful. Then only the receivers will receive in a proper way. They will give response to the sender. If there is no meaning, definitely they are going to ignore the sender. Next one is system of usage. So, in what way the language is going to be helpful in our day-to-day life, and whatever the language you learn, that should be used in our day-to-day life. This system is called as pragmatics. Here we had given the structure of language. So, here first of all the language already we discussed in the areas like system of sound, system of structures and all those. So, first of all this is a combination of language, it is based on the sounds, what way exactly you are pronouncing the word, that should be very clear. Next one is grammar. So, whether whatever you want to say that should be in a proper way, exactly which is related to the present scenario or which you are talking about the future or already it was done, which is talking about the past. These all will be indicated in the form of grammar. Not only these tenses, we are talking about the gender, we are talking about the all the parts of speeches, these are coming under the grammar part. And the next one is talking about meaning. So, first of all the communication should be in a proper way, means that is the meaningful. By combining all these three structures, that is sounds, grammar and the meaning, if these three are effective, then only the language will be effective, then you are considered as a good communicator. So, this is a small structure had given the combination with sounds, grammar and meaning. So, here to understand the system of communication by analyzing different complex views of language as interpreted by linguists. So, here you are communicating with others for what purpose? Communication view of language. Exactly why you want to communicate, what you want to communicate, that should be very clear to the sender. And the next one is structural view of language. So, why you are framing the structures? Without structure or without system we can't do anything, we can't make the receiver to understand it in a proper way. So, that the structure is very important one, which is nothing but the planning. Without plan we can't do our works in a proper way, that is the main one. And the next one is international view of language. So, here we are talking about the English language. So, already we know that English language is a global language. Once you are thorough with the language, definitely you are going to have good rapport with all the nations, which is going to be helpful in our future and for the nation. So, to follow these language in a proper way, we are following certain features of language. So, the usage of the language in the form of duality of structure means we are using the structures in a two forms. So, the first form is talking about the first level. In this what we are doing is exactly compounding of sounds. So, in the first structure we are following the compounding of sounds. The first, for example, many boys love to play cricket. So, what we are doing exactly, just we are compounding of sounds, m plus a plus n plus y, many boys love to play cricket. This is nothing but the first level, only the combination or compounding of sounds. To make this as effective one, next we are entering into the second level, that is compounding of words into sentences. So, by clubbing all these first level words, then you are making a meaningful sentence or the successful sentence, that is indicating many boys love to play cricket, then it will become as a meaningful sentence. So, in the first level just you are combining only the sounds, in the second level with the help of sounds you are taking the words to frame a successful sentence. Historical development. So, now we are talking about the language. In that we have to look into the importance of English language. So, English language teaching and learning has become very complex in India. So, as per Lord Macaulay purpose in introducing English in India, but the attitude of the Indians unhelpful all along. As an English teacher in India, they should understand that why this English language is very essential for the Indian. So, once they are perfect with the English language, or once they are thorough with the English language, or once they come to know the importance of English language, in what way it is going to be helpful for the individual as well as how it is going to be helpful for the nation. So, that should be very clear to the teacher. Why we are talking about teacher is the teacher is a main source to give the knowledge. So, the teachers are the nation builders, they are preparing the nation builders. So, as a teacher, especially the language teacher, especially we are talking about the English teacher, they should understand that English language is a global language. So once the child is perfect with the English language, wherever in the globe they can exist or they can survive without having any communication problem. Next one is English is a lingua franca for both domestic and international communication. Once you are a good effective communicator or once you have good language skills, definitely at any stage you are not going to face any problem. So that's why the lingua franca for the both domestic and international communication. And next one is English language of trade, history and information. So still we are thinking about the sentence that India is a developing country. So we have to take good relations with the nations as well as the international level. So for looking into the development of nation, we should be make the English language importance in our Indians. So this is going to be helpful for the trading purpose, for the business purpose as well as the information purpose. As we are looking into the science and technology, it is totally 100% it is depending on the English only. So once the child is in a position to learn English in a proper way, automatically it is going to be develop the nation. So if we are looking into the library also, around 80% of the books were available in English language. Once we are looking into the science and technology part, once we are looking into the internet part or once we are looking into the media part, just it is all depending on the English language. So by looking into all this, we are coming to know the importance of English language, so that it is going to be have good trade, industry and the information. And the next one, English language confers confidence, power to invent and create. Once you have command over English language, definitely you can have the confidence and you can have the power to invent and you have the power to create, because the science and technology part is taking crucial role in our life to develop the nation. So all the scientific parts are available, all the informative parts are available 100% in English. So this is the importance of English language. Once the child is perfect with the English language, they are in a position to learn English language, definitely it is creating confidence towards the child. So this confidence level is making the child to show their power and it is making them to invent as well as the create new innovative things and innovative ideas. The next one, it is a symbol of better life in India. So if we have the medium of instruction as English, so that every individual is going to get perfection with the English language, so that it is making and developing nation for the better life. Development of language policy in India. So now we are talking about the language part, especially the English language, how this had existing in India from the British period. So in 1835, British in India declared English medium of education for schools and business. Convinced and continued after independence, it flourished lower esteem. Actually, the Britishers came to India for the trade purpose in the 16th century. So from that time onwards, they are starting to introduce English language for their better trade. The Article 343 of Indian Constitution, Hindi as official language, and also recommended the use of English for official purpose for 15 years period. So this is indicating that the importance of English language in India. So this was especially introduced by Britishers, so that it is making the Indians to know the importance of language. Later, Hindi is supposed to replace English. It occupies special place in parliament, judiciary, education system, media and journalism. Just we are looking into any field, it is depending on the, it occupies a major role in all the areas like parliament, all the acts, amendments and everything will be in English. Coming to judiciary, this is also talking about all the articles, everything is in English. Coming to the education system, majority of the information is available only in English. And coming to the media part and as well as the journalism, by looking into all the areas, every field is depending on English. Further, the use of English has been extended and recommended by many commissions and reports. So, by looking into this, they are coming to know that what is the importance of role in introducing English language. So, English has occupied a prominent role in all the fields, so that so many committees and commissions were recommended that English should be introduced for Indians. So, based on that they introduced the 3-language formula. So, in this 3-language formula, main objective of implementing 3-language formula was, especially the first one is national integration, international communication. So, there was a first discussion on language in school education by CABE, Central Advisory Board of Education 1940, by proposing schools like the number of languages taught in language, introduction of second and third language, place and role of English, next one place and role of Hindi, teaching of Sanskrit and minor languages in schools. So, here in this 3-language formula, especially the committee focused CAB, Central Advisory Board of Education 1940, by proposing these recommendations like number of languages were taught in schools and introduction of the second and the third languages in schools. Next one, what is the role of English and what is the place of English, and the next one, place and role of Hindi, and next one is teaching of Sanskrit or any other minor languages in schools. After a long debate on with the Central Advisory Board of Education, proposed 3-language formula in the year 1956. At the same time, the board also recommended the study of English as a compulsory language both at the secondary and the university level. Why the secondary and the university level means, here the 100%, 80%, not in even the more than 80%, the books were available in English only. So, the English books are available and those are giving more information to gain more and more knowledge. So, the child, especially in the secondary level as well as in the university level, they are thinking and they have to learn more and more. So, that source is available only in the English medium textbooks. And also the board recommended that English should be introduced earlier than class 5th. The recommendations of the 3-language formula were simplified and proposed and approved by Chief Ministers Conference in 1961. So, they are these 3 languages. The first language is talking about the regional language or the mother tongue of the individual child. So, that will be the first language, means the mother tongue or the regional language will be the first language. Coming to the second language, Hindi in the non-speaking areas or any other Indian language in Hindi speaking areas, that is the second language. Coming to third language, English or any other modern European language. So, based on these, the 3-language formula was introduced by the Chief Ministers Conference in the year 1961, which is proposed by the CABE. Finally, after examining all the recommendations of Education Commission in the year 1964-66, advocated 3-language formula. So, as we know, the Education Commission is also known as Kothari Commission. The year is 1964-66. In that, the 3-language formula was the first one. The 3-language formula, in that the first one is the mother tongue or the regional language. The second language is the official language of the union or the associate official language of the union. Coming to third language, the modern Indian or the foreign languages. These are the 3 languages based on proposed by Indian Education Commission 1964-66. The introduction of English is made at different levels of primary schools in different states. So, in Andhra Pradesh, they introduced from class 3. The first language, mother tongue or the regional language, that should start from the class 1 onwards, that is the first language. Second language from Hindi or Sanskrit from the class 6, and the third language, that is English, from class 3. So, this was followed by the 3 language formula, the year 1964 as per in the year 1964-66. Status and its importance of English in India. English was first introduced in India by 16th century when East India came to trade. When British established their rule in the 18th century, its status underwent a change. English established its roots in the Indian society and in its education system. So, here nowadays this importance of English has become a prominent role which was introduced by the Britishers from the 16th century. So, in the 16th century they came to India for only trade purpose. Later from the 18th century they started to initiate the medium of instruction should be as English, which should start from the school level to the university level. In the present scientific world, the significance of English is increasing widely. The Secondary Education Commission 1964-66, known as Kothari Commission, has explained English as a library language, English as a link language, and it is a window of the world. So, here the English is considered as the library language because more than 80% of the books were available in English only in the library. So, as well as this English language is making link with all the nation and the international level for the trade purpose or for the development of science and technology. So, here this is showing a window of the world. Once the Indians were getting knowing the importance of English language, definitely it will become a more developed nation which is competing with the other nations. So, but the National Knowledge Commission, which is known as NKC 2007, believes that the time has come for us to teach our people by making them to know the importance of English language. English as a global language. So, when people at different backgrounds meet, they need to communicate using a common language. So, if we have the communication with the regional level, we can talk about the our mother tongue or the regional language. Otherwise, if you have an interaction with the global level, just definitely we have to look into which is the standard language. Now, we are talking about the standard language as English. So, the position of English in India is quite encouraging. So, everybody is getting benefit by learning the English language. So, each and every individual is talking about the importance of English language. In fact, it has become a lingua franca, or which become as a common language and used in many regions around the world. So, it is used as a medium of communication in various contexts such as government, judiciary, media, journalism, in any other educational system. So, every institution or every aspect of the nation is depending on the English language. So, we come to know that the prominent role of the English language in India for the current scenario. The nature of language as a means of communication. So, why exactly we are communicating with others? To share our ideas or views. So, for that we are taking help of language. So, language is making communication in a effective manner. So, the first is talking about the language as a skill. So, you want to represent something to others. So, you are taking help of language. So, the expression should be in a form of skillful manner. It should be in a easily understood by the receiver. Then only it is called as the effective communication. So, the language is helping you to communicate with others. So, the language is as a skill. Language as a communication. So, here the language is only helping us to communicate with others, which may be in the form of oral, or you can have your own gestures, or otherwise you can have some sign. So, here these all making us to make the receiver as a effective communicator. So, that we are taking help of language. Language is a system of systems, which is nothing but the subsystem. So, to understand the receiver in a proper way, here you are following some structures. So, the structures are making the individuals to learn what exactly the sender is sending the message. If there is no system, automatically there will be a communication gap. The information may not be reached by the receiver in a proper way. So, that it is going to give a gap between sender and the receiver. The message may not sent in a proper way. So, this is the helpfulness of the subsystems of the language or the structure of language. Language is a creative. So, here you want to express the ideas with others, definitely you should be in a position to frame your own words, and that may be available or that may be easily understood by the receiver. So, the expression skill should be creative, so that it is making the receiver in a proper way, what exactly you are going to communicate. The next one is language is arbitrary. Wherever you want to express your ideas, that will be helpful to you and the others will be understand you in a proper way. Language is a systematic. So, already we learned it is a subsystems, combination of subsystems or combination of system. To express our language, here we are taking help of sounds, how exactly you are pronouncing. Again with the sounds, by following the grammatical items, by following the grammar, by following the structure, and the same time by following proper meanings. These all making the language as a structure. Once the structure is prepared in a proper way, so that the language will be communicated with others in a proper way, then that is called as the effective communication. The next one, language is a symbol of human culture. So, automatically the language is also indicating the symbol of the human culture. So, only the human being having the ability to communicate with others by taking help of language. So, here we are not looking into first language or second language or third language, but here you are taking help of language to communicate with others. Language is a prevarication, which is nothing but helping to imagine. Once you are expressing something to others, automatically with those words, definitely you are going to, the receiver is going to frame their own imagination. Maybe the situation like this, maybe they are expressing this in a proper way, so that it is giving scope to imagine what exactly the sender is sending the message. So, that imagination is making the receiver to understand the situation in a proper way. So, the language is making such type of imagination in the receivers, which is nothing but creating their own hypothesis or creating their own assumptions. Now, we talk about the three languages. Now, we are looking into the first language. So, the first language will be children pick up the mother tongue from the speaker in the immediate environment in a natural way. Definitely, like as per father of language Noam Chomsky explained that it was in a biological growth. Definitely, you are not going to make the child to learn the mother tongue. Automatically, the surroundings or the nature of the environment or the family making the child to learn the mother tongue or the first language. That will be the first language. Learning the first language is like one of the basic instinct. Once the child is learning the mother tongue or the regional language, definitely it is an instinct, it is a growth which is indicating the child is in a stage of learning. While listening and speaking the first language as natural process, reading and writing are taught either in the school or elsewhere. So, here for especially now we talk about the basic skills of language L, S or W. So, in the initial stages without writing, without reading, just they are listening and they are speaking. So, that is the mother tongue or the first language. Coming to the once they started reading and writing or taught either in a schools or any other system. Teaching the first language means teaching how to read and write. So, teaching the first language means how to read and write. Teaching the standard language or the second language. So, here the status of language can be determined by the perceptions of the language users regarding the value of that language and their desire for the using it. So, in what extent and what is the status of language can be determined by the perception of the language users. If the mother tongue is the first language, then the second language is usually not a native language in a country, but is widely used as a medium of communication. Even though the second language is considered as the widely used language, maybe it may not be the native language, but it is used as a medium of communication. So, now we are looking into the factors responsible for making English as a second language. Why? Actually, we thought the mother tongue or the regional language as the first language, Hindi as the official language or national language, the second language, and the third as the foreign language. So, but English had taken a second place or the second language. Why? What are the factors made for making English as a second language? So, as we know the importance of English language, especially which is talking about the development of the nation. So, it is a common language. So, from root level onwards started speaking English, definitely it is going to become as a root language from root level to the international or the global level. So, this become as a common language for everyone instead of an international or the global language. Next one, English is as a national link language. Once we want to maintain good relation with other nations or the global wide, definitely we should have link with the other nations. So, the only source we have is the English language. So, the English language is considered as the link language. That is also one of the importance making the English as the second language instead of third language. English of the world, language of the world. So, English is considered as the language of the world. So, once the perfect with the English language, once knowing the importance of English language, definitely it is going to be helpful in the future. Medium of instruction at the higher education level and passport for the employment. Once this was become as a second language, these are the benefits we are looking into that. So, once it is as a medium of instruction for a higher education as well as the university education level and for the employment level, it is going to be helpful for the students. The next one, it is called as the library language and source language. So, the information is available only in the libraries, or we are taking help of computer, we are taking help of internet. So, all the internet information is available only in English. Only few sites we are having the Telugu medium Telugu version or the regional languages, but the majority of the sources, 100% sources are available only in English. So, that is why the language is also the source of language, especially the English. So, language of commerce, administration and mass media. So, by looking into all these areas, these are the factors made English instead of third language, it was considered as the second language. English as a window on the world. English is a rich and beautiful language. It is a unifying factor. English is a unifying factor. It means means of social and intellectual communication. So, by looking into all the factors, it is making us English should be as a second language. This will be agreed by everyone. So, here it is a unifying factor. Once you want to communicate with the, not with the same group, once you want to communicate with the not with same regional group or not with same mother tongue or with the regional language, if you want to communicate with international level also, this English language is making the unifying factor, so that there will be no gap or the no barrier for understanding the others. So, English is a rich and beautiful language. So, obviously, everybody has to accept this. This is a beautiful and the richest language compared to other languages. English is considered as the richest language. And to communicate in the society or to communicate with good relation with the mass or to communicate with relation with the media or any other area we are looking into that, the English is only the source to make the institution or they make the organization or they make the administration in a proper way. So, by learning the language there is a philosophy. So, this philosophy of language learning, it operates human operations on 4 aspects, especially this is on the 4 aspects which can be considered as the philosophical tenets which governs the language. So, the aspects like meaning, use of language, understanding and reflection. So, once you want to communicate with others, definitely some meaning should be there, then only the others will be understand and they will follow you. If there is no meaning, if it is not clear, definitely the receiver may not follow you, may not respect you. So, the meaning is very important one. Coming to next one, use of language. So, whatever you learn, in a proper way you have to use the language, exactly what required, where it is required and what way I have to represent my emotions or ideas or attitudes in a proper way. The usage of the proper language is very important one while speaking to others. The next one, once you are using the language, the listener should be understand what exactly you are saying. Means here once whatever you want to speak, that should be meaningful one, then the others will be in a position to understand. So, whatever the listener understand, that should be reflected, means by asking some questions or giving response to that, it is indicated that your usage of the language is in a proper way. So, that is nothing but the reflection, and whatever the language you learn or whatever the subject the listener learn, that should be used in our day to day life, then only that is called as a reflection, in what way it is having impact on the other area. So, these are the major 4 aspects in the philosophy of language learning. The first one is meaning, second one is the use of language, and the third one is understanding, and the fourth one is reflection. Now, previously we look into the philosophical perspectives, now we have to look into the social perspective. Language plays an important role in our life, as we have to accept that one. In our society, language is a binding factor. To communicate with others, definitely the language is very, very essential one. So, just here I am giving a simple example. Think of any party. So, just you attended an unknown party which were who invited you. So, how you are going to communicate with others? So, the language usage is very important one. So, what way you are going to communicate? If it is as per our region wise, definitely you can have interaction with your mother tongue. If it is an official, if it is an international level, definitely you have to follow the language only the English. So, towards the social perspective, the language plays an important role in our life. So, what way you are presenting your subject and what way you are representing it, that is reflecting you what type of person you are and what type of terminology you have to use. These all should be keep in the mind, especially in the social perspectives we have to talk about. So, the language we use is governed by 6 fundamental questions. So, especially the language usage is governed by 6 fundamental questions. The first one is talking about with whom you are talking about, with whom you are talking about, what you are talking about exactly, that should be very clear, whom you are talking about, what you are talking about, where you are talking, whether it is public party or whether it is private party or among, just you have to look into the social perspective, and when you have to talk. If you have usage of the language, already we discussed, it is a part of one of the aspect. Usage of the language, when and where, how to use the language, and next one, why you are using that language or why you are talking in the party, that should be a meaningful one. And the next one, how you have to represent. For example, if you have any problem with you, if you want to maintain good relation with the public or if you want to maintain good relation with the society, then how you have to represent, that should be in a proper way based on the time being. So, these are the major 6 fundamental questions. Those are whom you are talking about, what you are talking about, where and when you are talking about, why you are talking about that part and how you are talking about. These all will be we have to look into that while speaking in a social perspectives. Language acquisition versus language learning. So, here there are 2 terms. One is the language acquisition, means acquiring the knowledge. The other one is language learning. So, just we have to imagine the small difference between these two, acquiring and the other one is learning. So, acquiring is a term which usually associated with young children acquiring their mother tongue or the first language. So, here especially you are not making the child or you are not making the kid to learn this mother tongue or the regional language. Automatically by looking in biologically it was learnt by the child in the nature itself, that is acquiring the knowledge. Whereas coming to the learning, learning on the other hand is associated with the learning a new language which could be a second language. So, in the acquisition of the language, here they are not looking into the grammatical part or here especially you are not making them to learn forcefully or like that. Biologically or naturally they are learning the language, that is acquisition of language. Whereas coming to the learning, that will be called, would be considered for the second language. Factors affecting language learning. So, to learn the language effective manner or to learn the language in an effective manner, we have to follow certain rules and regulations. Even though some factors are making us to learn the language in a proper. The first one is physical factors, the second one is psychological factors and the social factors. Why exactly we are learning the language, what is the necessity of language, why you are acquiring the language, these all for the purpose of communicate with others. Okay. So, coming to here the physical factors, what made you to learn, why you have to learn, what you want to share with others, these all coming under language learning. Coming to the physical factors. So, exactly why you are learning language, what made you to learn. Without language or without communication you can't survive. So, this is a basic point of view we are talking about the language learning. So, without language you are not going to communicate with others, or without language you are not going to get or you are not going to recognition in the society, that is for the physical part. Coming to the psychological factors, to express your emotions you need language. So, by looking into your facial expression sometimes they can understand that you may be happy or you might be with emotion or you might be with sad. So, these are the expressing of the psychological factors. And coming to the social factor, to maintain good relationship within the society, definitely have to look into the social factors for the good communication or for the good rapport. So, these are the major three factors of language learning. The first one is physical factor, the second one is talking about the psychological factor, and the third one is social factors. In our day-to-day life, we are knowing the importance of language, especially for the language is life. There is a quotation, famous quotation, language is life and life is language. So, without language there is no life, if there is no life, if there is no language there is no life. Okay. So, it is said that the human beings cannot survive in a silent word and refrain from talking to for too much period also. Sometimes it is said that if you can be available without language for 1 day or 2 days without having any communication with others for few hours or few days you can survive, but whole the life you can't survive without the language. And the same time, as a human being we need some social support. You should get recognition in the society. For sake of that, definitely we have to take the help of language. And the next one, if you know the language also, you are not expressing it in a proper way, or if you are not talking to anyone for the long period, obviously definitely it is going to make not the successful person. So, here the role of language in life, especially for the cultural part, social part, emotional part and the intellectual part. So, these all the developments will be taken place by taking help of language. So, by looking into this, we are coming to know the role of language is very important one in our day-to-day life. So, the language is a life and life is language. So, based on this we have to look into that, the importance of language, especially now we talk about the importance of the English language. As now we discussed about the importance of English and all those. So, by looking into the topics what we discussed right now, so there may be a chances or the possibilities of asking questions like what do you mean by language? Means here they are going to expect the definition of the language. And what is the definition given by Chomsky? Definition given by Chomsky, or give the definition for the language. These are the two questions which were relating only for the looking into the definition of language. And the next one, they may ask the question like expansion form of the CABE and its year. CABE is known as Central Advisory Board of Secondary Education and its year. And the next one is NKC expansion form, National Knowledge Commission, NKC. And the next one, what are the basic language skills? This is a very general question. What are the basic skills of language? LS/W, this is a short form, LS/W, listening, speaking, reading and writing. That will be the answer, LS/W. This is a language basic skills. The next one, as per three language formula, what are the three languages? As per three language formula, what are the three languages? This will be the question. The first language is the mother tongue or the regional language, second language or the official language, national official language, and the third language will be foreign language or the international language, that is English. And the next question may be, in which year, from which year onwards the first, second and third languages will be start, means from which class onwards we can start these three languages. That may be the one more question. And the next one, so as we discussed three language formula, that third language is the English language, but later so many factors made English as the second language. So instead of third language, it was shifted to second language. So there will be a chances for asking what are the reasons for shifting the English language from second language to third language. And Education Commission, the year of Education Commission is 1916, 1964 and 66. This is also known as which committee or which commission? So National Education Commission 64-66 is known as Kothari Commission, known as Kothari Commission, that is 1964 and 66. And next, one more question, factors of language learning. So what are the main factors to learn the language? Factors of language learning. The first one we can talk about physical factors, psychological factors and the social factors. These three factors are making the human beings to learn the language. And sometimes they may ask about the as per the philosophical perspectives of language, what are the aspects of the language learning? As for philosophical perspectives of language learning, what are the aspects of language learning? So in class we discussed there are four factors, that is meaning, use of language, understanding and the reflection. These four are the language learning factors as for the philosophical perspectives. So these are the major questions which can cover from the these topics.